Welcome, everybody. I apologize. I have some internet issues. Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me. Good. So I am watching you all on my screen and talking through my phone. Hopefully we will continue to be able to do that. I have lost Zoom connection a few times, so hopefully that won't happen while we're on. We'll just take one more minute and get started right at noon. It's good to see everybody.
You too. Thanks to all of you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
So far, it looks like I'm representing my gender.
We appreciate that, George. Other men just are not as enlightened.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Well, it's high noon, and let's seize the time, I think. So welcome to the first of 10 Wednesdays together in the Revolutionary Love Project. We will be meeting together like this and having a different theme each week. Today is the introduction, but all of us are looking forward to Valarie Kaur's coming to join us in Dallas, both for a lecture on Wednesday night, February the 2nd, and a workshop on Thursday morning, February the 3rd. I hope that most of you have become acquainted with her either through her website or through her book, which is called See No Stranger, a memoir and manifesto of revolutionary love. There it is, if you can see it, okay. And she is a remarkable person. I'll let Nancy talk a little more about her in a moment. I do want to say thank you to those of you who have agreed to be sponsors and to be involved with us in this project. If you would like to know more about sponsoring, please put something in the chat about that and we'll be in touch with you more about it. It's a fairly low bar for sponsorship, and there are some benefits to it, but it would be a great help to us. Faith Commons, just briefly, I hope that some of you have had an opportunity to go to our website, faithcommons.org. We are an interfaith, or maybe sometimes better, a multi-faith organization that seeks to pursue the common good. Our phrase is bringing faith to life. And mostly we're talking about doing public theology. Most of the time, that means that we're trying to build understanding among religions, but also understanding should lead to more than just gathering facts or thoughts and keeping them to oneself, but rather putting them into action. And so we work in partnership mostly in trying to promote the common good on various matters of public interest. We would love for you, if you are not already, to subscribe to our newsletter and to become part of our Faith Commons community. You don't have to donate to do that. You're welcome to donate if you'd like, but there is a subscribe button on our website, and we'd be glad for you to look at that. One of the programs of Faith Commons is the Good God podcast, and I hope that some of you have subscribed to that and keep up with that. But also, we work on projects like this, where we bring people into town and we bring groups and individuals together around certain topics. This one is broader, and we'll talk a little more about how in a moment. But I'm delighted always to work with my partner in this, Rabbi Nancy Kasten. Nancy and I are, I guess, the two main principles of Faith Commons. Our friend and colleague, Imam Omar Solomon, is a special advisor and represents the third of our Abrahamic traditions, you might say, in leadership. And Cameron Vickery, who some of you know is Cameron Mason Vickery, is our communications director, and she is recording and monitoring this. So with that, Nancy, let me turn it over to you and take us the next step.
Thank you so much, George. It really is terrific to see all of you. And, you know, when George says public theology, I hope that you all imagine people in public putting their theology into the world in very tangible ways. As I look around this Zoom, I see many people who I have worked with on many different issues that are of concern and need attention, whether it's immigration or safe gun laws or feeding people who are hungry. I could go on and on, providing medical care for those who do not have it. We work on all of these issues out of a belief that comes from each of our faiths in different ways. And a person of faith, you know, doesn't necessarily have a religious tradition, but we have faith that we are here for a reason and that we are connected to one another and that it is our job to take care of each other. And that when we do that and create an environment in which we feel safe and healthy, then we also, that part and parcel with that is making sure that the others in our environment are safe and healthy. And so, you know, this particular event is an opportunity because as I've done this work with so many of you and others as well, and seen that these issues don't happen in a vacuum. They are connected to one another. I just learned over the weekend that while I was completely obsessed and preoccupied with trying to prevent too much voter suppression from going on in the state, two bills passed, one that makes it illegal in the state of Texas to divest, for a government supported institution to divest from gun manufacturers or to divest from fossil fuel manufacturers. So our freedoms of the ability to influence through the marketplace and through our resources has been diminished while we were looking in the other direction. So, you know, we do need to be looking out for one another and seeing that we are all part of one thing. And that's where Valarie Kaur comes in, because she really lifts up a way of seeing the world, seeing ourselves, and seeing each other as part of an interconnected, interdependent oneness. And not only does she lift up that vision, but she also provides tools to use, first of all, with ourselves so that we can teach ourselves to see things that we hadn't seen before, teach ourselves to identify, recognize, and then address the ways in which we all as human beings are programmed biologically to scarcity, not abundance, to feel fear and not love in many ways. And we have to we have to train ourselves. We have to work at it. We have to have practices that continue to develop our frontal cortex, which is what all of our faith traditions ask us to do, to overcome some of those evolutionary biology realities of our brains and our instincts, and to see that those are limited in terms of their potential for a sustainable present and future. And so, Ms. Kaur comes from a background, she is a Sikh American. If you haven't become familiar with her at all, she's just a remarkable person. She is in her early 40s. She really started doing this work and creating a movement of sorts after 9/11, when the first person to be attacked and killed as an act of hate, a hate crime against people who were erroneously seen to have caused the fall of the towers and all of that, the 9/11 terrorist attacks. A Sikh American was killed at a gas station in Arizona. That was sort of her motivating event. And she's built a movement based on her experiences. She is a documentary filmmaker. She's an educator. She's a faith leader. She's a civil rights lawyer. And she is an organizer par excellence, a wonderful speaker and leader. And so you can find out lots about her. Definitely watch her TED Talk from 2018 if you haven't seen it already. And she is not just herself a motivational speaker and teacher, but she has put into place a whole toolkit of resources and continues to develop resources for us to do the work of creating a world in which we see no stranger, that when we see another, we see them as part of ourselves that we do not yet know, and that we see the darkness that we're experiencing in our world right now as the darkness of a womb rather than the darkness of a tomb. And she makes an analogy between a revolution of love and laboring for birth of a child, in which you have to do a lot of work and endure pain and feel a lot of feelings in order to bring that into fruition, even though all along the way, it's out of a sense of love. And certainly once that child is born, we are filled with love, but yet nevertheless, labor is involved. And to do that labor, we need the tools for it. I think it's pretty clear if we look at what's going on, and I don't think it'll be something shocking or controversial for those on this call to understand that we're going to have some kind of revolution in our country and in our world. Too many people are getting left behind by systems that do not acknowledge their humanity in various ways. So there's going to be a revolution. The question is, what kind of revolution will there be? And what Valarie Kaur offers us is a roadmap or a path, at least, to creating a revolution of love rather than a revolution that will involve destruction and violence. So George is now going to talk a little bit about what the Revolutionary Love Project looks like and where we're planning to start with this, leading up to Ms. Kaur's visit to Dallas and then immediately afterwards.
Thank you, Nancy. I think when we are talking about this as a project, something that we have to work on together and labor toward, there have to be steps in that process. And all of these are going to take some contemplation, some understanding, some working together. And the Love Compass, the Revolutionary Love Compass, that is both available at her site online, ValarieKaur.com, and also in the last chapter of her book, lists these various steps in the process. This can be done at any point on the compass at any time, but it's important to touch on all of them. And so as we work together over the next weeks before she comes, we're going to focus on one of these each week, whether that's fight or grieve or wonder or reimagine or listen or rage or breathe, push, transition. Those are all themes that we'll be covering one each week by week, and we'll be focusing on them also with different people. It won't just be Nancy and me who will be leading, but we'll be having other guests that will help us think through that. I do want to say that Nancy mentioned that, you know, our religious traditions are trying to move us up into a more thinking, conscious way of going about our lives. She mentioned sort of the transcending of our evolutionary approach in our biology, where we otherwise would be operating much more in a stimulus response survival mode. It's important for us to become very intentional. But to say that is also not to say that if we all just lived from the neck up, everything would be better. In fact, the Revolutionary Love Project is more holistic than that. And it talks about how necessary embodiment is in our faith traditions. And that part of our trouble that we get in is when we are dualistic and when we are separating spirit and body. And so this image of labor and birthing, which is, I should say, probably not one that a man would have come up with, but is a terrific insight that will heal men as well as women as we learn to do this together, is a beautiful way of approaching things, I think. And so, you know, Sikhism is a relatively young religion in that it was born in the 15th to 16th century in India, Punjab, and it came out of Hinduism and is not one of the Abrahamic religions, of course, but it is, interestingly, the 5th largest religion in the world. And it has 500,000 adherents in America itself. Valarie has come to this work out of her own painful experiences as a Sikh American, where, especially in the wake of 9/11, Sikhs were targeted as if they were Muslims, though they are not, because of their appearance. The men wear head coverings that conceal their hair, which they do not cut. And so they're often misunderstood, but they have suffered some tragic hate crimes as a result of this. And so Sikh Americans have had to work hard in figuring out how to respond to hate in their experience in America, and to do so in a way that actually honors their own traditions, their own faith and culture, and begins to heal rather than strike back. Sikhism originally had a lot to do with fighting and learning to use weapons. In fact, that men carry knives as part of the tradition. But now the faith, as all of our faiths, has has actually evolved spiritually to the point where they think of this as a reminder not to fight with physical tools of violence, but rather with love and with spiritual weapons of transformation in confronting enemies and transforming those relationships. So we're going to be drawing upon those traditions. And what we invite each of you to do is to learn a bit about where Valarie comes from in this, from her own faith perspective, and then try to find those places in your own faith tradition where you hear resonance of those themes so that you can operate out of your own faith tradition and bring that with you. Much of what we do in Faith Commons is try to imagine that we have like a commons in a community, a green space that is public or at a college campus. And we have common concerns that we're approaching, but we ask you to bring your particular faith, tradition, and practice with you to that commons, and then we'll find ways to listen to one another and learn from one another. This will end up, we hope, with some strategic plans that will move forward beyond our time together, where we'll determine at the end of this how we continue and whether we continue this project in some ways together, or whether the things that we have learned become a strategic way of doing our own work in our individual fields or our organizations so that it transforms the particular organizations, institutions, and societies that we are involved in. So that's basically our plan. And we encourage you very much to read the book, to scour the websites, to share this with others and invite them to join on these Wednesdays as we seek to do this work together. I think with the remaining time, Nancy, we might want to find out something about those who are here, but I'll pass it to you next.
I just want to say, let me just say a few other things. This is not, I just want to make it clear that this is really not intended as an intellectual enterprise. I mean, George made mention of that. And what I'm going to just reframe a little bit of what he said. We talk about bringing our faith into the public square, but really what this is about is in each of our faiths, we have the ability to see the violence and we have the ability to see the love. And these tools from whatever faith tradition we come from, they are not Sikh tools. They are human tools in which we really choose to use our tools of love and to leave our tools of violence and suspicion and fear and the perspectives of scarcity and the perspectives of separateness. We leave them behind and we lift up those aspects of all our faith traditions that emphasize the love, really. And so, and the purpose of that is so that we actually do try to come together on an equal playing field in which we all feel like we are equal, not that we are coming as a mosaic, but really that we are coming together as, a melded, iron forge to be able to, really be strong in the face of some really significant challenges in today's world. And, the truth is we could be doing it and we should be doing it as a community, even if Valarie weren't coming here. But what she gives us is, first of all, the tools are really, really important because I've been in a lot of different groups over the past several years where we've done a lot of diversity and equity and, inclusion work, and we've tried to create understanding and, we dine together and we play ball together and we volunteer together, but we're not getting to that level at which we really do feel ourselves as being interconnected in a very significant and fundamental way. And what Valarie offers us is not only, again, the tools and the vision, but also a broader network into which we now fit, where what we do in Dallas is connected to what's being done in many, many other places around the globe. And so, so that's the other thing I just want to make sure that everybody understands. And that's why we're really trying to bring in as partners in this people who represent individuals, but also people who represent organizations from all the different aspects of our community, whether it's, advocacy organizations, direct service organizations, businesses, government, faith organizations, of course. But we want representation from all of these different sectors of the community and people from all different walks of life, not only faith traditions, to be part of this. Because if we can come together on February 2nd in an auditorium of 500 people or so and be really reflective of a community that is all colors, all ages, all hairstyles, all faith traditions, all genders, etc., then we will be doing something that really doesn't happen. And then it will be up to representatives from each of these communities who are our sponsors and our partners to figure out what we do next together. So with that,
Any
also,
questions or comments?
Yeah, questions or comments? And if you don't have the ability to be a sponsor, or you don't have an organization, you can choose to be part of the work. The public lecture will be available. It's going to have a minimal cost involved, but the workshop is also available. And if the fee is too high, then we will work with you. But all that information is in the link that Cameron attached in the chat.
I just want to say thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for bringing the city together. Thanks for bringing her here. Yesterday was a hard day. News of another school shooting, and people are tired. And it's just so encouraging to be with people that want to create a revolution and use tools other than violence. So thank you.
Yes, Nancy and George, I also want to thank everyone. And Nancy, when you spoke about, was it that it is illegal for government-related organizations to divest from gun violence, and also the fossil fuel companies? I really felt that rage. That is part of one of the workshops. Yes. Also because I come from meetings, the COP26 big preparation, where we had meetings with religious leaders who all divested from these kind of companies. So to make this illegal, it's really irking someplace in me. So even though I consider myself a peaceful person, I felt that rage. And so I think it's good to address that also in workshops and to see how we actually deal with such things.
Good.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Deanna. And, if you also know of other individuals, organizations, if you sit on boards of organizations that you think should be a part of this, if there's anybody you think we should reach out to so that they know about it from us, please let us know. We need everyone to be a partner in this. Everybody has an equal ability to influence how impactful this visit will be. And so if there's no other questions or comments, next week we will start with, actually talking about the compass itself. So we'll have one session on each point on the compass, and I'll have a guest with me next week. We'll see who that's going to be, our mystery guest. But we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you all
And
so
feel
much.
free always to, be in touch if you have any feedback for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you, George and Nancy.
You're welcome, Claudia. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.